Behind the Fiction, the Book Lovers podcast, where we deliver interviews, insights, and ideas to passionate book lovers who want to stay in the stories they love. I'm Alexa Liberg, and this is episode 29 for October 29th, 2019. Today's guest is Jace Mitchell, and we are talking about a new universe and a new story in the universe, Paranormal University First Semester. In this interview, Jace tells us a little bit about his main characters, how he came up with this idea, and what it's like to write in tandem with another author who isn't your co-author, but you have to stay aligned with so that all the stories match and go together. This is a really interesting interview. So, like I say every week in every episode, subscribe to both our YouTube channel and our podcast so that you don't miss a thing. Now, let's get to the show.
Jace Mitchell, what is the Unvailed Academy universe?
Okay, so hi, Steve. Thanks for having me on. Amy and I started talking with Michael about maybe last March about doing this series, and between the three of us, we came up with this idea of what if every kind of mythological being or anything that had been worshipped, or even like where fans get really big into it. So if you think about Michael Myers, where people have shirts and stuff and they dress up with his mask on before the new movie comes out and things. In another universe, these things pop into existence. So anywhere from Zeus down to Chucky from Child's Play, they pop into existence in this other universe. And there's something that's called the veil that separates our world from them. And inside the Unveiled Academy novels, this veil's starting to tear. And there are accidents where, you know, like in Boston, leprechauns will fall through the veil and then they're running around trying to get drunk and things like that. But then there are much worse creatures out there than drunk leprechauns, vampires, ghosts. Even some of the Greek gods were pretty violent. So Earth quickly realized they have a problem, and hence the academy. So they're trying to train young people to fight these mythological beings. Does that answer it?
It does. It does, sort of. And I want to get into a little bit more about this. It's for LMBPN, this is sort of business as usual and sort of something that's completely different, because we're releasing two books in the same universe to launch the universe on the same day. Yours is one of them, and that is titled Paranormal University First Semester. And is that in Boston? Is that, because I know there's one on each coast.
Yes. So Amy was going to start hers in Australia because that's where she's from. But
and Amy is, of course, Amy Hopkins.
Amy Hopkins, right?
Yes.
But we just decided, since most of our audience is American, we do them both. So one university is on the West Coast, and then my university is on the East Coast. And the schools are happening at the exact same time. So I know in other, like Oracerium, these different series will take place years after. Well, Amy's book is happening at the same time as mine is. So the kids are actually, or young adults are going up through college, and they're being trained through different methods because the government's not sure how to stop this, right? This is a brand new problem. So they're testing out different theories on how to stop it using these two different colleges.
Okay. All right. So
does that make any more sense?
Now it's making more sense. And it also helps to resolve a problem that we had with some of the early Oracerian books, where we had two series that were kind of in lockstep, but not really in lockstep. And the timing threw some readers off, because there might be something that happened in book one in one series happened in book three of another series. And that was troubling.
I messaged Amy and I was like, hey, for our third book, are we doing a summer semester or not? So we're like keeping it directly in lockstep.
You guys you're not writing together, you're planning together. And Michael is involved, and
Yeah.
Michael is a co-author on both of these series, but they are unique standalone projects in the same universe.
Yeah, I mean, we work with Michael. Michael's really good at, uh, crafting scenes, the way he turns phrases. So we'll send things over there to him like that. He really helped us build the universe. We bounce problems off of him all the time. And he's really good. If you have a problem with any kind of writing, like getting yourself into a corner, you send it to Michael and he just figures it out like that. But yeah, we have to plan a lot, Amy and I, because as you get into the writing process, your mind kind of takes over and we both go down different kind of rabbit holes. And then we have to make sure that these rules that we've created are the same for each so that the fans don't get confused.
Interesting. So let's talk a little bit about your series specifically. Who are the main characters? What's happening in the first semester?
So without going into too much detail,
Come on. Just give it away.
Not everyone can see these mythological creatures. And it's explained pretty early in the book who can and who can't. My main character, her name's Claire, and a leprechaun tried to steal her purse. She's a lower class background, so she doesn't have a lot of money. A leprechaun tried to steal her purse. She was able to chase him down, and she could see him. We call him mythers, so she could see the myther. His name's Frank. They quickly became best friends. Now the FBI is pretty in tune of which kind of teenagers can see these creatures. So they come to her, they offer her a spot in the college. There she meets a kind of a smart ass named Jack, and then a really, really intelligent girl named Marissa. So those are kind of the four main characters. You've got Frank, the leprechaun, Claire, who's our star, Jack, who's some comic relief, and Marissa, who's more introverted but highly intelligent. And then each book, the way that I build it on my side, there's a different bad guy. So this bad guy here, I'll give that away. It's going to be vampires. But then they're the ones that are crossing over in Boston. Second book will be something else. Third book, and then you slowly build up to the bigger and bigger bad guys until there's a face-off to figure out what's happening.
And is there a plan for these two series to intersect at some time, or do they just remain as standalone series?
No, they intersect from time to time already. My college is FBI sanctioned. Amy's is not yet. It's privately created, which is a little weird to say. You might not understand, but they're trying to get it FBI sanctioned. But some of her characters do interact with mine. In her book, mine, I haven't written hers into mine yet, though.
Okay.
The plan is, I think, in the end, to have to fight the big bad sort of together. But we haven't gotten that far yet.
All right. I like that. The big conclusion. So LMBPN readers may know you already from your Hand of Justice series. This is completely different than that.
Yeah. Completely different.
So why did you veer in such a different direction with this series?
I enjoy reading fantasy, but I've never really written it before. I enjoy trying it out. But speaking candidly, the sort of the jokes and the humor in that wasn't my type of humor. When I was talking to Michael about it, he was like, "Yeah, just write yourself." Now the humor in this book is much more my type of humor. I enjoy the urban fantasy more. I enjoy the magic aspects. I enjoy the horror aspects that come in that you can bring into it. And, Amy really wrote a lot of her character into, of herself and her main character. And I think I did too. Just kind of my background, Claire's background. So it just felt like this was more, I enjoyed it more, to be honest.
Well, let's talk about your background. Writing is not something that you have done for your entire career. You came out of something else. So you want to share a little bit of that with listeners and viewers?
Yeah, sure. So I went to college. I got a degree that didn't really matter, political science. I did something called Teach for America for 3 years.
And what does that mean? Teach for America.
So it's a program nationally. They take top college graduates, and I'm not trying to brag, just this is what it is. Like 10% of Duke's graduating class applies every year. And they put you in the lowest income schools you can imagine. So I taught in an area called Bankhead in Atlanta for 3 years.
Okay.
Really low income, really tough place to make strides, but really rewarding too. After that, I decided I wanted to switch to business. I didn't think teaching was a career I wanted to do. So I got my master's in business. And the whole way I'm writing, doing this. So it's just long hours, writing, working, going to get my master's. Came out of that, got into insurance for a few years, decided I couldn't make PowerPoints my whole life, which is basically all I was doing, executives, and then started writing, and here I am.
So at some point you decided that you wanted writing to be the career rather than PowerPoint creation or teaching.
I think I knew that at about when I started. I remember my first short story. It clicked. Like, this is me. This is what I was put here to do. And nothing since has ever clicked like that. So I knew at a pretty young age, 18, 19 years old, that that's what I wanted to do.
And how was emotionally, what was it like to say, okay, I'm going to give up this career? Because the insurance thing was kind of a career, and you're making a big change from something that's fairly certain to something that is completely uncertain, other than the track record that you already had as an author. So I'm guessing that from a financial standpoint, you didn't really have a clue what was coming.
Yeah, you know me pretty well, Steve. So I would say terrified, abject terror. Had a pretty good salary, benefits, all of that. So I mean, it's scary, but when you're scared, you only have two choices. You can hide or just work harder. So I just busted my ass and tried not to focus on the fear. And I think any kind of entrepreneur, which is basically what we're doing, is going to have fear when they start out. But you either have to have freedom or security. And if you have freedom, you're going to have some fear there too.
Yeah. I remember when I started my first business, going from a pretty good salary, and my thought process was, I'm going to go from here to zero, because I didn't really expect to make any money for a year or so. But what I was giving up was just like a better car, or being able to go to better restaurants and things like that. And what I was trading it for was essentially my dream and unlimited opportunity. It's when you think of it that way, and it sounds like that's the way you thought of it, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, I just kind of looked at my life and was like, what do I want my legacy to be? PowerPoints? Like, I don't care about any of these insurance programs we're creating. So yeah, it's I like my life a lot more now than I did then. I enjoy it a lot more. I have freedom to do whatever I want. I get to write stories. It would be very hard for me to go back to any kind of corporate position.
So what's the publication schedule for the series so that readers can get a sense of when they can expect the next books?
Yeah, so we're hoping to get them out every 30 days. So we are publishing the first book on, what is the date today? The 24th. So it'll be the 25th, October 25th, Friday. Both Amy and I will drop the first books, and we're going to try to publish each book on the same day. So we hope to get the next book out around 30 days after that. We'll have a pre-order up, so you guys will be able to see it. That should be coming up. Well, I've got to get Steve some things, but within a week or so, that should be coming up. And then the next book after that, another 30 days. So we're trying to do a monthly release schedule on these.
Great. So, I mean, this is exciting. I'm excited to see how things go for you in a paranormal world. And I'm excited to read this book. I'm excited to read Amy's book. And I'm excited to talk to Amy. Amy is in Australia. It would have been great if we could have done these interviews together, but her schedule is completely different. So with Amy, we're going to just try and catch her when we can and record. So there will be another show with Amy, and we'll talk about the series from her perspective as well. Jace Mitchell, thank you. Her accent
is much better than mine as well.
Your accent is not what it should be for a guy that lived in Atlanta for a while. I have to say that.
True.
Thank you very much for being here, Jason. Best of luck with the series.
Thanks a lot, Steve.